Terry is hoping he can break the X Factor curse that has left many previous winners tumbling from their thrones with tarnished crowns. For every Leona Lewis there has been a Leon Jackson, and the odds are sadly not in Terry's favor. Terry spoke of today's single release and said, "The whole album is about my life over the last year and a half. It's about being at the start of a relationship and how everything's great, then it starts to crack, then Sucker for You comes in just after that. But will Terry be a sucker or a success, and how will he compare with those who came before?" GETTY X Factor winners, where are they now? Monday, August 8, 2016. Since appearing in the 2007 series of The X Factor, Rita has recorded 5 studio albums, and played the role of Pontius Pilate in the musical, Jesus Christ Superstar. He added, "It's about knowing you love someone more than they love you. Even though they're effing up and not being a great partner, you're sticking with them and basically being a bit of a loser." Perhaps he should stop mentioning losers as we look at the hits and misses of the last 13 years. X Factor winner Matt Terry new single Listen to IT Here. X Factor's Matt Terry releases new single 2004 Steve Brookstein Miss Only Was is up after the show's controversial first champ. His winner single, a cover of Phil Collins' Against All Odds, lost out on the mythical Christmas #1 to the Band Aid 20 revamp of Do They Know It's Christmas, but hit the top spot in its second week. No hits followed and he was dropped by Sony BMG 8 months into his contract and has feuded with Simon Cowell ever since. His 2014 album Forgotten Man failed to chart, but an X Factor memoir, Getting Over the X, focused on Cowell and Co. and was a hit. 2005 Shane Ward Hitward was more typical X Factor fodder. Handsome and pop-tastic, he scored the show's first Christmas #1 with That's My Goal. A £1 million contract with Cowell's Psycho label followed, and a smash hit debut album, Stand By Me, went platinum in the UK. He was eventually dropped by Psycho in 2011 after poor sales of third album Obsession. Ward also pioneered to crossover into reality shows, appearing on Dancing on Ice. He is now a bigger star as an actor after first starring in West End musical Rock of Ages, before bagging the role of philandering factory owner Aidan Connor in Coronation Street. 2006 Leona Lewis hit undoubtedly the biggest international star the show has ever produced. Her winner single was a cover of Kelly Clarkson's A Moment Like This, and dominated the Christmas charts, selling more copies than the rest of the top 40 combined. Bleeding Love made her a huge star in the US and worldwide. Her Christmas track One More Sleep in 2013 was a big comeback hit, but she broke the X Factor trend by quitting Cowell's record company of her own volition. These days she is happy to make music as she chooses and spend time on her sprawling US ranch. 2007 Leon Jackson Miss Leona was a tough act to follow, and her poor male namesake the IDNT come close. Outrageous Welsh opera singer Rita Ann Roberts was big favourite by partisan Scottish voting, pulled Leon through. He duly hit Xmas #1 with a cover of Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston's duet When You Believe, but follow-up single Don't Call This Love peaked at #3. Debut album Right Now's disappointing sales meant he was swiftly dropped. Jackson continues to write music and tour, but hasn't charted since. Monday, October 9, 2017 Strictly Come Dancing 2017-2008 Alexandra Burkett Christmas #1 with a belting version of Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah. She followed it up with a dance floor diva transformation on thumping hits like Bad Boys and Broken Heels. After her pop career fizzled, she followed Ward's example and played the Whitney Houston role of Rachel Marin in the West End musical version of The Bodyguard in 2015. She followed that with Sister Act the musical in 2016. Burke is also demonstrating her fancy footwork as one of the favorites on this year's Strictly Come Dancing, with her partner Gorky Marquez. 2009 Joe McEtery hit Joe's was the first to suffer from an X Factor backlash as his Christmas single was beaten by Rage Against the Machine after an internet campaign. His debut album, Wide Awake, only reached #3 and sold just over 100,000 copies. It was no surprise when his contract with Psycho expired in 2011 and WASNT renewed in an amicable split. Another swift conversion into reality TV star saw him win Pop Star to Opera Star in 2011 and The Jump in 2014. He has also tried his hand at musicals and appeared in Tommy the Rock Opera in Blackpool and Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. He has continued to release themed albums of more cover versions which consistently make the top 10, including his latest, Saturday Night at the Movies. 2010 Matt Cardle hit Cardle famously beat One Direction to the crown, even though Cowell clearly already had his eye of boy band world domination. He took a cover of Biffy Clyro's Many of Horror to the Xmas top spot, renamed as When We Collide. debut album, Letters, hit number 2 and stayed on the chart for an impressive 16 weeks. His desire to stay away from pop music contributed to a split from Psycho in 2012, but he has continued to release music with moderate success. 2011 Little Mix hit Little Mix have continued to surprise since they won viewers' hearts in 2011. They duly scored a number 1 with their winner single, a cover of Damien Rice's Cannonball, but their own material has had far greater and more lasting effect on both sides of the Atlantic. Perry Edwards, Jesse Nelson, Leanne Pinnock and Jade Thirlwall have released 4 hit albums and a whopping 17 singles, and collaborated with some of the biggest names in the business. Still able to sell out arena tours, they are the only X Factor winners who have managed to stay on top for so long and still show no signs of the usual dreaded fade and disappear. 2012 James Arthur hit. James Arthur brought an edgy new vibe to the show from the start and threatened to restore some musical credibility. His winner's single, Impossible, was an enormous hit, selling over 1.25 million copies in the UK alone. However, his abrasive personality and unwillingness to censor his social media provoked a succession of crises, accusations of bigotry and lead to his dismissal from Psycho. Offended fans were even offered refunds on his album by iTunes. In true X Factor inspirational fashion, he was able to seek help and turned his life around, clean up his life and his drug habit, and score another number 1 single with Say You Won't Let Go. In a show first, he was also resigned to Psycho. 2013 Sam Bailey Miss was the perfect antidote to her predecessor. A classic reality show story of a plucky prison warden with dreams of singing stardom. She belted her way through every week and took the Xmas number 1 with a cover of Demi Lovato's Skyscraper. Early highs included supporting Beyoncé in concert and bonding with her idol, Michael Bolton, while her mentor Sharon Osbourne became godmother to doubter Miley. Sam Hasnt repeated her early chart success, however, and her contract ended with Psycho in 2015. That year she toured the UK as Mama Morton in the musical Chicago, and earlier this year she released an album, Sing My Heart Out, on her own label. 2014 Ben Hey Now Miss Ben Hey Now generated huge interest and was tipped for credible stardom, won the 11th series of The X Factor in 2014. However, there was already some suspicion that Cowell was already more interested in runner-up Fleur East. Ben's self-titled debut album only hit number 10 on the charts, and he announced he was no longer with Psycho in January 2016. 2015 Louisa Johnson, Miss youngest ever winner of the show at 17, was touted as a genuine British pop princess. The unexpectedly poor performance of debut single Forever Young, which only made it to number 9, came as a shock. Less shocking is the fact that her debut album Still Hasn't been released.